Hello, and welcome to episode 36 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answer to. I'm Vib.
And I'm Sean, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about. Before we move on, let's award the much vaunted Expertise is Overrated Tinfoil Award.
As a reminder, this is an award that we give out at the start of each episode to the person who had the most ridiculous point in last week's episode. And to no one's surprise, it's you yet again.
I can't believe that not only did I win the tinfoil, I also won the backup tinfoil.
Yeah, it's 2 for 2 for this week for you. I mean, part of me is starting to think that you're just doing this on purpose now. You're just coming up with the most outrageous things.
I did promise, we did promise weeks and weeks ago that we would try harder to have better tinfoil. But no, honestly, everything that comes out of my mouth at the moment is an honestly held belief.
It is just tinfoil. Well, it's an honestly held belief, but it's tinfoil. The greatest thing was that... So you're getting tinfoil A for John Dawlish being on your list of top 10 duelists in Harry Potter. And my favourite thing about that is when we tweeted out about the episode, you said something like, hashtag justice for John Dawlish.
Yep.
And someone commented saying, actually it was Otto commented saying, I don't even remember who that is. And, you know, he's right.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I don't think that was a bit. I think he genuinely doesn't know who John Dawlish is, which is a damning indictment of an unsung hero of the heptology.
He's comic relief at best, you know. He's the Joey Tribbiani of the Harry Potter world.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Also fair.
John Dawlish.
John Dawlish was a hands down winner, but runner-up tinfoil goes to the way I absolutely went for Molly Weasley. And again, I stand by everything that I said. I don't like her. I think,
but you know what? It's
my character assassination of her, apropos nothing in a conversation not about who's a good mother, sort of may not have been the best way to go about it.
It was that more than anything else, to be honest, because you could have just, you know, oh, by the by, I don't think she's a very good character, but you just sort of took a good chunk and really laid down why you think she's an awful individual.
It went a bit mad, really, didn't it? I think I was unconvinced that my argument that she won that duel because of adrenaline was really going to carry water, so I felt that the only way I had any hope of winning that argument was to just absolutely go for her as a human being. It was the absolute definition of playing the man, not the ball.
I think at that point you didn't even know there was a ball anymore.
It was quite something. Would you put Hitler on your list? To which I think the answer to both of us is yes, because we both put Grindelwald on our lists.
Whoa, now if anyone's Hitler, surely it's Voldemort.
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
Okay, well, there we go. We got a new episode in the making.
There we go. That is a new episode. I like that. Anyway, today I think we need to get our apologies in early. This episode promises to be an absolute shambles.
Oh, a complete and utter car crash.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too, but I'm also concerned because it is going to be a car crash.
It's going to be great. I'm really keen.
You know, let's not kid ourselves here. We don't plan our episodes in great detail. We
did sit down about a week ago and say, right, this episode is actually going to take some serious planning. And we agreed. We agreed this episode was going to take some serious planning. We need to give it some proper thought. And then I think I finished my list while we were talking before we started recording, which is
at least you have a finished list.
Yeah, there's some holes in your list.
No, I've been very creative. You know,
that's one word. That's one word for what you've
also
done.
Cost saving.
But what we said last week was that we were going to cast the first stage. So what we mean by that is essentially we're going to come up with a fictional television or film production of J.R.R. Tolkien's The First Age, which is essentially what's contained within the first 2/3 of the Silmarillion. And then we're going to attempt to fan cast with basically no restrictions, I think, who we think could be the best for the various key roles. So what we said to each other was that we would go away and just do the top 10 characters from the Silmarillion, because frankly there are too many, aren't there?
Well, this very quickly became the issue, right? At the time it seemed like such a simple thing. Oh, just go away and put the top 10, right? And then it turns out that the first stage is bloody huge and long and full of people.
We we should have agreed on who the top 10 characters were before we started that process, because I'm looking at our lists and they're different.
Well, there's a very immediate problem in that if you're going to do the top 10 characters, I mean, the very first chapter, very first bit of the Silmarillion, obviously, is about all the Aina and God himself,
Yeah,
which is already way more than 10 people,
skipping it.
all of whom are, to put too fine a point on it, are absolutely instrumental in actually creating the whole world.
Yeah, but I'm skipping. I think I'm skipping it. I'm just not dealing. Basically,
I'm cheating.
I decided, yeah, as am I decided that the Ainu were too complicated, so they're not going to appear in my show.
Right,
Other
okay. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Fine.
other
Wow.
than Melkor.
You're doing the Amazon approach, which
I,
I should obviously mention. This is, us once again being highly topical.
yeah,
In the
we're
sort of imminent release of the Amazons of
the
Amazon's Rings of Power. We are going to completely ignore that and talk about the first stage.
well. I don't think we're completely ignoring it. We're essentially, Amazon is giving us the money to make a prelude to Rings of Power, right? Rings of Power is wildly successful, so Amazon comes at us as two well-known consumers of media and say, "Would you
Wait, wait,
guys
wait,
like?"
wait, 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 wait. Amazon are paying you?
No, this is a hypothetical world in which.
Oh, I was going to say, where the fuck is my cut?
God no. I think I hid that. I don't think he realizes I'm getting an Amazon check anyway. Yeah, so in this hypothetical, Amazon have come to us and said, because we have more money than God, you have an effectively unlimited budget. Go away and make a first age TV show to show people who are not familiar with the Silmarillion how we get to the starting point of Rings of Power. Essentially, the first stage. At least that's how I've approached it.
Yeah, that's sort of where I started, but then I started to think, what are the most important characters, and I had to remind myself what exactly happened in the first stage, and
Lots.
roughly, so roughly speaking, and putting obviously shenanigans before time was even a thing aside, the second and the third ages, which are fairly well known periods in the Tolkienarium, are give or take 3,000 plus years long.
Yeah.
And I sort of naively thought, well, the first stage can't be much longer than that. Turns out that even in recorded years, I think it is 40,000 or so years.
Wait. Does this mean that the second age is just Middle Earth 40k?
Okay, wow.
I think
That might be
I've
the single best thing you have ever said.
I've just done it.
Second age is 40k Tolkien. Wow. Wow. You've outdone yourself there.
I've done it.
What's like the opposite of tinfoil we can give you for this?
I don't know. I think I just won.
I think you just, well, okay, this is the last of a podcast Sean's making, folks.
I can hang up my head.
Sean's just won the whole thing. Amazing. Wow. I'm genuinely speechless.
Sorry, I've completely thrown you there. So you were saying the first age is about approximately 40,000 years long, which, yeah, lots happens. Right.
Yeah, because when I was looking through, I was like, oh yeah, there was the whole thing with the lamps, and then Melkor destroys the lamps, and there's the whole thing with the trees, and then Melkor destroys the trees, and I was like, it's before even any of the elves are in the picture. And I always associated the first age with the elves fighting Morgoth in Beleriand, essentially, right,
Yeah,
in Middle Earth, and that is just the tiniest fraction of the First Age.
that's ridiculous. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's like 600 years or so, essentially, of the First
Of
Age is the fights.
40,000, so less than,
Yeah,
I can't do that maths, but like
it's actually
less than
less than the
1%.
Second Age, right?
That's insane.
It in terms of elves or men fighting a Dark Lord, it's really Sauron who takes center stage there.
Well, yeah, because I mean they fight Sauron for the entirety of the Second and Third Ages.
Well, quite. Whereas the elves only fight Morgoth for a relatively short period of time. Now, I mean, I guess Morgoth still gets to take, some credit because he has to fight the rest of the Valar, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
ultimately,
at some point he has to wrestle Tulkas.
he doesn't really have to. I mean, he just gets destroyed.
Yeah. So, is the best thing to do here then, given that we set ourselves such an insurmountable task, to go through our separate lists?
Yeah, I think we do one person's list.
Because we've obviously approached this very differently in what we think the core of the show that we're designing is. I think looking at the two lists.
Probably, yeah. And I think it'd be interesting to talk about where we think creatively this show would go, right, in its first season.
I think that's
At some
right.
point.
I think that's right. So since my list is further up the page than yours, shall I go first?
By all means.
So I've sort of a bit focused on the House of Finway as my core thing, and the sort of the elder days as my core thing to build the whole show around, with a couple of much later additions to sort of tentpole later seasons around. So I've cast Feanor, Finrod, Fingolfin, Finwë, Turin Turambar, Beren Luthien, Eleuthingol, and Melkor himself as an overarching villain. I've also got a placeholder for Erendil, the Mariner, although I've come on to him very last. I'm really scared to say who I've cast in each of these spots.
Also, I mean that's already quite interesting, right? So House of Finwë, but you've left out
All of Feanor's sons.
all of Feanor's sons for one.
Basically, there's too many of them. I couldn't remember what they all did, so I went, I don't care about you. You can all be Wheel of Time-esque, Game of Thrones-esque nobodies that we pull off the street and turn into stars. That's your Kit Harington, your Richard Maddens. Except probably not, because I just don't like the House of Feanor.
Yeah, but they are the major drivers of the plot in many ways, aren't they?
They are and they aren't. I sort of see Feanor as the driver of the plot, and then his sons are just like shitty has-beens riding daddy's coattails. They're like,
yes, but I think with your cast, you'll sort of run into an issue where at
I
the
run out
end,
of story to tell without them.
well, that's the thing, because once the last proper elf dies, who is there, right?
This is the problem. Once Finrod dies, it becomes very difficult to work out what direction to take the story. I think that's the right order.
This is another thing that, even though I've read the Silmarillion countless times,
Yeah.
I still forget
But
what happens when.
Either Finrod or Fingolfin is my last sort of big name from the early seasons. And then I think I just go the way of Game of Thrones after season 4.
Just get Glaurung and burn some stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. But okay then. So talk us through who you've cast as these characters.
So I've cast Adam Driver as Feanor.
You've cast Adam Driver as Feanor.
Yeah, let me go through.
You cast Adam Driver as Fëanor?
Let me go through my first four, and then I'll try and explain what I was thinking.
Okay.
Right. So I've got Adam Driver as Fëanor. I've got Eddie Redmayne as Finrod. I've got
No.
let me finish. I've got Oscar Isaac as Fingolfin, and I've got Nikolai Coster-Waldau doing a cameo for 2 episodes as Finwë.
You know what? I love that.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau. I know
Yeah,
that's inspired.
that's genius.
That's inspired.
Inspired.
I'm really happy with that.
I mean, it's a gross misallocation of funds.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Nikolai, he should be playing one of the main characters because he's cheap as chips compared to an Adam Driver.
This is Amazon money. Money's no option. Money's no object.
True.
So the reason I want Eddie Redmayne is I want the Finrod Sauron duel to be a center point of one of the seasons.
You picked Eddie Redmayne. The guy can't.
The guy can sing.
The guy can sing to
the
an
guy
extent.
Can sing, right? That's
the counterpoint. If that's what you're going for, right? Ewan McGregor.
The problem that I had with a lot
Hugh
of people,
Jackman, Neil Patrick Harris.
No, none of that. Neil Patrick Harris, no.
Oh gosh,
I like Eddie Redmayne. For a long time, I had Eddie Redmayne as Fëanor. That's the one that I messaged you about. I said you're going to hate this. I decided.
I think I would have just hung up on you.
So what I'm going for with Fëanor is this idea of someone who is essentially too intense for their own body, right? Which is something I think both Adam Driver and Eddie Redmayne could do.
No.
Okay.
Adam Driver, I can see. Yes,
it's a sort of a cross between Adam Driver in Black Klansman and Adam Driver in the Star Wars sequels, right? So someone who's very charismatic, but also just more than a little bit unhinged.
Yeah. Which I can see Adam Driver as that. Eddie Redmayne.
That's why I pulled away from Eddie Redmayne, but I decided I wanted him in for reasons that I can't quite answer. And I don't really have a better Finrod as well, because his thing is being mates with people.
Well, and you'll see in my list that I struggled with Finrod as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eddie. Okay, so you got the four big Fs, I guess.
Yeah.
Finwë's an inspired choice. Yeah, so to give the go, I didn't cast Finwë because I just didn't think he actually featured enough.
So this is you could avoid casting Finwë.
It seems counterintuitive, right? Because he's like the thing that everything.
He's the instigating incident.
Yeah,
but you could start with his death.
Yeah.
So you just need to cast a body, essentially.
So I was surprised you didn't cast Sean Bean.
It was really tempting. It was really tempting. Yeah. But the other problem that I had with the elves is that I didn't want to cast old people, essentially, because
or northern people.
No
offense to northern people.
Yeah, I couldn't make that. I want all of the elves to sort of share a sort of look like they're about the same age, I think.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
And also casting Sean Bean as someone who dies is just a trope that I'm done with. I love it greatly, but I think I'm done with it.
It's a trope that he's apparently done with as well.
Yeah.
Do you know why you don't see him in anything anymore?
Do you know who I actually wanted for Fingolfin, though I can't have him?
Who's that?
Russell Crowe from Gladiator.
Russell Crowe from Gladiator. Yes. Yeah, I can see that actually. It's a very similar story in many ways.
Yeah, you can do that ride. You can do Fingolfin's ride very well, and that duel with Melkor, I think, would work. But anyway, that's
Are you
only.
saying that modern day Russell Crowe is not up to the task?
I think he'd give it a good go.
You've
But
still not seen Thor:
I've
Love
still
and
not
Thunder,
seen
have
Love
you?
and Thunder, no, but I do know that old Rusty isn't quite in the shape he once was.
No,
Right.
not quite.
So I'm actually going to back out of my Turin casting because it's too in the vein of Eddie Redmayne, and I don't think it's right. So for Turin, I had Timothy Chalamet,
Okay,
but I don't think it's.
yeah.
I like it, but I don't think it's right. For Beren, I've got Alexander Skarsgård. For
Fuck, you've
Luth,
gone young. You've gone
I've
very young.
gone
I actually
very
kind of
young
liked
for
it. Yeah.
Beren. For Luthien, I've got Jodie Comer,
Jodie Comer.
Villanelle from Killing Eve.
Jodie Comer for Luthien. I think I hate that with a passion.
Love it. Excellent. Really happy.
That might be one of the worst Luthien castings I've ever come across.
All right, let's wait till we get to yours. Yours is ridiculous. For Thingol, I have Alexander Siddiq.
Who the fuck is that?
He is the guy who played. He's in Game of Thrones. He plays the Prince of Dorne in Game of Thrones. Also, I have IMDb open so I can look these people up. How do you not know who Alexander Siddiq
Crikey.
is?
Okay, that is a weird combination of awful and absolutely perfect.
Yes.
Oh, I hate it, but like it, but hate it. I think I hate it. That's so tough.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right on the edge, isn't it?
That could work, but it could be awful.
It's very difficult to see how he ends up as Jodie Comer's father, but never mind.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
gosh, I
so
hadn't even thought of that actually.
yeah, no, I didn't bother. I didn't worry about it. Melly and Zamaya, everything's off the table. And then I've cast Melkor. He's the only one of the Ainur that I've cast.
Okay.
I'm gonna get yelled at for this, but I have cast Idris Elba as Melkor.
Love it. Just love it. Straight up love it.
It's a
Partly
perfect.
because I think Idris Elba should be in everything.
Yeah, he should. It's a perfect casting. It's absolutely a perfect casting. But
I mean, do we touch on the
no,
slightly
no, we're just not going
insensitive
there.
nature of your casting list here? Okay, no. So
I'm not.
it's
I'm
not
not
that
engaging.
you've thought Dark Lord,
No, I'm not
Handsome
engaging
Dark
with
Man.
that point. I wanted Idris Elba in it, and I had him as Thingol for a very long time. I did have him as Thingol for a very, very long time, and then at the end, I
I
decided
actually kind of like that. Yeah.
I couldn't picture Idris Elba with long grey hair, and it was that simple. Because that's
No,
like
but you could cast him as Thingol, and then who would you cast as Melkor?
I was flirting with Henry Cavill,
That's not a bad shout.
but
No,
I
see,
don't
Melkor in my
think it
head was always
works.
kind of a feeble individual.
So that is a problem. For a while, I thought Jeremy Irons, but then I realised that was a comedy casting.
Oh, way too cool.
But have you seen
With
Jeremy Irons in
Melkor,
the old D&D movie?
no, I haven't. Unfortunately, I
It's
only recently found out that
amazing.
that was a thing. Although I heard there's a new one coming out, so that
There
might be
is.
something. Yeah. But, yeah, with Melkor, my brain kind of goes to more of a Christopher Lee type.
Ooh, that's good. There's a notable omission. Whenever I do fan castings, I always end up with Fassbender in it, and I don't have a Fassbender.
Oh, well, Fassbender's your generic NPC because he's entirely generic. Bit like Ryan Gosling.
Actually, that's a very fair comparison. I hate it, but that's a very fair comparison.
So Fëanor, Finrod, Fingolfin, Finwë, Turin, Beren, Luthien, Thingol
I don't
Melkor.
like my Turin though, but I think Timothy Chalamet can do the tragic side of Turin really well.
Yeah.
I just
Actually, I
don't.
can see that really
I
well.
don't know that he can do the essentially greatest warrior ever who will slay Melkor in the last battle.
That's why I feel like I've even though my casting, for
I don't
Turin
think
is
it's very different.
it's very different, but yeah, I think for that reason that you just mentioned. But so there's an omission in your list, obviously.
Well,
You've only cast 9.
I've only cast 9. I've also written Erendil down, but I've specifically not cast him because I want to find an unknown for Erendil because I want him to
Oh, you
be.
fucking cheat!
It's an absolute coward move. I
I mean,
want
I've cheated heavily myself, so I can't really talk.
the only other person you could have for Erendil, actually, although I think I hate it, is the kid who played Tommen in the later series of Game of Thrones. Because he'll have grown up now. But I hate it. I hate that.
I hate that. The problem, I think you sort of identified the problem with casting Erendil, though, is that how old is he when
I
you
think the
think of
answer
him?
is yes.
Well, quite right. He's equal parts like rebellious teenager and super old wise man.
Yeah. So who is
And the
aged?
problem with casting Erendil, if he's one of your top 10, you have to cast Elwing,
Maybe. I mean, I
which is a
don't.
theme in my list to some extent.
You've done a lot. You've done that much better than I have. I absolutely don't think I have to cast him. I've also
Yeah,
specifically.
you would admittedly be cancelled for this cast,
Oh
like
yeah, it's
100%.
awful. I have specifically not cast Galadriel because I'm just using uh, Morphin Clark.
A, fair, and B, Galadriel was originally a feature on my list, and I thought, well, she doesn't really do much in the first age that's sort
Yeah,
of recorded.
no, but
I'm
I'm
sure
just
she does a
if
lot,
I
but
if I need a Galadriel, I'm just using Morphin Clark because that's a great casting.
well, the jury's, I guess, still out. But yeah, I'd
It
be tempted to
looks to
agree.
be a good casting. Sorry, that's
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
fair.
I'm very
Um,
tempted to agree. But then we seem to be fans of the Rings of Power so far, whereas
well, you can't be a fan of something that doesn't exist. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, that's fair enough. But we're in the minority there.
I believe that's true. Yes. I hate
So
my list.
yeah,
I hate
I
your
kind of
list
hate that I
more.
kind of like it. Well, some of it anyway.
Some of it's very bad. I like.
Alexander Skarsgård as Baron, I think, is inspired.
Yeah, I think that.
Although I'm disappointed that you didn't actually go with the suggestion that you had a number of months ago when we first started discussing this episode.
Oh, that's Adam Driver as Baron and Oscar Isaac as Luthien, and just
Yes,
never engage with the point.
never engage with the point absolutely because it's so perfect that no one should have to argue with the point.
It's good, isn't it? I love it.
But it's weird that you went from Adam Driver as Baron to Adam Driver as Feanor.
Yeah, I know. Feanor is so hard to cast.
Feanor is incredible. I'm quietly optimistic about my casting for Feanor.
Do you want to just go through yours and then we can talk about how we?
Yeah, so my number one in the list was casting all of the Ainur, which
All
because
right, that's a good trick.
it's a good trick. But then I cheated very heavily in that I'm going to use Dolly. I don't know actually how you say it. I'm going to say it's the same as Wally. So that artificial intelligence that creates shit you tell it to create.
Oh, piss off!
Oh, come on, it's perfect and you know it. Because the Ainur are impossible to cast for a human.
Shut up. That's
So
awful.
I'm going to let
hate
the
that.
AI cast the Ainur, and I think it's going to be absolutely perfect.
That's bullshit. I'm having none of that.
Nah,
That's more of a cop out
you
than not
you're just
casting
salty that you
Erendil.
didn't come up with it with yourself.
It's more of a cop out than not casting Erendil.
Absolutely not. I'm hiring artificial. I'm in the 21st century here.
I don't care. I don't like it.
Anyway, maybe we should actually commission that and see
We
how
should
the
have. We
Ainur
should have
turn
a look.
out.
like,
Maybe it's genius, maybe it's a
I,
terrible idea. I don't
I
know.
mean, but no, but how does that actually work? Because at times you're going to need to portray Morgoth Melkor on screen.
I mean, have you heard of CGI? If
It's gonna,
Amazon's funding this,
that's
we
gonna
don't even
look
need to cast
so
anyone.
bad.
It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh dear.
Completely, it'll be like The Hobbit, but just turned up to 11.
There's so much I don't like about your list. I didn't know what you meant there. I now hate this the most of all the things on your list, which is really saying something.
So yes, I've cast all the Einar, which gives my list will resonate much more with the Amazon execs than yours, because at least I've done the thing right. Then yes, in similar style to you, I have cast Feanor and Fingolfin.
Yeah.
And I've cast Feanor's sons.
In theory.
I've cast Feanor's sons, and I've also cast Aelor Thingol, obviously, and I've cast Melian, because I don't know why you hate women so much, but you gotta when you're casting the men, you gotta cast their.
No, I do actually
their
have
wives.
I do actually have a pick for Melian.
I'll be keen to hear that.
She's not on my list for reasons of this game. I should have just not written Turin down.
Turin is sort of important, but yeah, I mean, I've got Thingol and Melian, I've got Luthien and Beren, and I've got Turin and Nienor. Not because I think she's.
There are other characters who you probably need to cast earlier than Nienor.
Yes, but you have to cast Turin, and if you cast Turin, you have to cast her, I think, to make his story convincing.
I think that's fair.
Oh, I hate my casting for all these people already.
It's so bad, isn't it?
It's so different. But so Feanor. So just to remind, so you had Adam Driver. I've gone. Actually, not that different. Weirdly,
I think you've gone for Last Generation's Adam Driver.
I've gone for Keanu Reeves, because I think, to me, what you said before is like someone who's like too wild for their own body almost, and I think Keanu Reeves is exactly that. He can be such a demure, gentle soul, but I think he can cut loose and be completely batshit insane, a bit like Feanor.
I hate that I don't hate it. I really want to hate it, but I think it's actually inspired. I think that's the smartest thing on your list.
Oh God,
that's really good. That is.
I mean, also really Keanu Reeves. Come on,
that's really good. I really like that. Keanu Reeves is Feanor.
And I think he would love it. I think he'd have a great time doing it.
He would have so much fun. He seems like such a nice bloke.
He does seem like such a nice bloke. But to literally see him go so batshit crazy that he spontaneously combusts.
Have you seen him? Have you seen him talking about NFTs?
I've not, actually.
It's really funny. He's doing an interview for the most recent Matrix film, and someone starts talking about NFTs and trying to get him to talk about them, and he just goes, "Yeah, but it's a scam, isn't it?"
Yes, Keanu.
But the interviewer is then like, "Yeah, but it's all about creating artificial scarcity," and he just bursts out laughing. Like, in the middle of the interview, Keanu Reeves bursts out laughing, and it's like, "That's nonsense. What are you talking about?" And it's so funny.
Yes,
it's
Keanu.
So good. Go and find it. Everyone listening to this should go and watch that. It's the best thing in the world.
I will actually genuinely go and look for this later. Yeah. That sounds amazing. I love Keanu Reeves in any interviews and obviously in any films. The problem is Feanor isn't called John, so he may not go for it.
No. We might have to rename him John Feanor.
John Feanor. Yeah, Amazon, give us all your money. So yeah, Feanor obviously, and then I have cast Feanor's sons, which I think I am denied about this, but I think they're so instrumental in driving the later part of the story, because they're the ones who essentially always fuck shit up.
That's true.
You kind of need them.
You have to cast people, at least people like Maedhros and Maglor.
Yes.
I guess like
Yeah, and then the
yeah.
problem I'm sure that you faced was like, oh, you can't be asked to cast 7 people in a
I
list
can't
of
be asked to cast 7 people who have to look like they could be siblings.
exactly. So you just clearly lack my creative genius because I have decided to cast Lee Pace as all of Feanor's sons.
I hate you so much. The amount of time I spent on my list, and you've just gone, oh, I'll just put Lee Pace in 7 slots.
Oh, it gets better
Oh, why?
because I also thought that Lee Pace is so good and so unworldly elvish. He's got to play Fingolfin,
No, I'm sorry, that's just
and
wrong.
you can't stop there. He's also got to play Thingol.
I hate you so much. Actually, Lee Pace's Thingol, I don't hate.
I know that's the one that actually worked, right?
Lee Pace's Thingol, I don't hate. The only problem is, isn't he just playing Thranduil again?
Yeah, but that's part of the beauty, right? Is that we just
He
launch
is
this and people
just.
will be like on Twitter being like, "This is just Thranduil. This doesn't make any sense," and we never ever comment on it.
That would be good.
So Lee Pace's Thingol, I think. I prefer Lee Pace as Feanor's sons because I think he just really his face is one of those that's like we should be really wise,
But
but
he's
I also
not.
don't care, so I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah,
AKA Thranduil.
that's very Thranduil. And it is very Thingol as well.
Yeah. So for those two castings, I think it works. For Fingolfin, honestly, I just he's so great. I couldn't cast anyone that would live up to it.
The problem that I really had with Fingolfin is you've got to cast someone who looks like they could go toe to toe with the devil, but
Or in your
also,
case, Idris Elba.
or in my case, Idris Elba, but also when they're at rest, just looks like a normal bloke. It's why you can't cast like Jason Momoa or someone like that as
Yeah,
Fingolfin.
exactly.
Right? It's got to be. You've got to find some way to get that sort of like almost explosive energy.
It's the problem with elves in general, right? Because if we think about a warrior, for example, like a Turin, right? You could feasibly cast a Jason Momoa or a Dwayne Johnson or something. Someone who just
I'd
looks
hate.
overtly like a warrior.
I'd hate it, but you could.
Um, but equally, Turin Tremor would get absolutely kicked in the nuts by a Fingolfin. But a
Yeah.
Fingolfin just doesn't look like he would be able to do that. That's the big problem in all this, right? The elves
Yeah.
are just so much more graceful, yet will shit all
Slow.
over a man.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that. And Lee Pace, for some reason, was like the only person I could think of who kind of fits the bill.
No, I'm not having that. Lee
So we
Pace's Thingol is the only one of those I'll allow you.
well, I don't really care what you'll allow. I'm casting him as no less than 9 different characters. Not to
There
mention
are
all the
times where
extras.
he'll have to appear on screen next to himself.
Yeah.
There's a scene where all 7 Lee Paces have to be in the shot.
Yes, and loudly swear an oath together. Yeah.
You should get him to record the lines 7 times and play it over and stuff.
Yes, and
It's
given
so
that the Aina are all AI generated in my list, I don't see your problem with this. Okay,
It's so stupid.
it's just Keanu Reeves acting with Lee Pace. That's literally what this is going to be.
Keanu Reeves acting with 7 golf balls. This is what's going to happen here is you're going to break Keanu Reeves so that none of us can ever have him again.
I mean, yes. If I achieved that, then I would be very happy.
Right.
So obviously, Thingol is also played by Lee Pace, and Melian. I thought long and hard about Melian, and I do appreciate your desire to not cast people who are potentially a bit too old. So I think I've gone down the middle and cast.
It's different with Ainur, and again, it's different with Melian, I think.
The Maya is so complicated, but you need her on screen.
I think,
and I thought back to the only people who've ever impressed me enough to be able to, for me to say yes, you could potentially play Melian, and it's Kate Blanchett. It just I'm gonna get in so much trouble on Twitter. Everyone's gonna tweet at me being like, "I can't believe you've cast all these people who've played other characters in fucking Tolkien world before." But it just works for me in my head that Kate Blanchett is Melian. And I also think Lee Pace and Kate Blanchett could
Lee
produce a
Pace and
child that is a Luthian.
Lee Pace and Kate Blanchett, yeah, I'll give you that. That's going to work well on screen. The problem is, and it's a shit problem to have, but the problem is Kate Blanchett has already played Galadriel.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't see how you get around that. I haven't cast Melian, but I gave it a lot of thought, and she was on my list for a while, and then I decided just not to engage with it because it was too difficult. But the one name that kept coming up for me was Gillian Anderson.
Now, she's definitely too old, no?
Yes, but have you seen Sex Education?
Yes.
Because she looks good for her age, which is a horribly sexist thing to say, and I don't mean it like that, but like, she looks good. So I think you could do it. I think that would work.
But she's not... She's too human, if that's like a thing to say.
Yeah, but I don't really care. You just do that with CGI. You just make it so that she's always in a wind machine or something.
Yeah, and this is why I'm obviously not a real life casting director, because I clearly don't have the sort of
You can't look past that.
Because the reason I went for Kate Blanchett is I've seen her on screen as an elf, and I was really sold.
You could also try Rosamund Pike if she hadn't just done The Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that suggestion.
It's just come to me, but that would work, I think.
I actually really, really rather like that suggestion, Rosamund Pike. But yeah, Wheel of Time.
That's the problem.
It's a competing show on Amazon, right? So can't do that. Gillian Anderson, that's not. It's not your worst ever.
It's not.
Suggestion.
It's not a bad suggestion. It just doesn't feel quite right. But I'm happy to have it as my placeholder.
It's not awful. The other name that I sort of thought of that could work for this was Anne Hathaway.
Ooh, that might be a very good sideways shout, actually.
She's got a very similar quality, I think.
Yeah, that could be very good.
In my opinion. But yeah, I mean, obviously very difficult to.
I mean, we've not gone anywhere near, Manwë, Yavanna. Well, you have.
What do you mean? I've cast them all. Easily.
Yeah.
I don't know why you were struggling so much. No, if you actually have to cast humans as them, it just wouldn't work. It would turn into one of those horribly cheesy style films. It just doesn't really.
I think you could do it. You just have to be really careful.
Yeah.
I think you could.
Yeah, maybe. Now that I'm looking at my list, I may, even though I'd love to see 9 Lee Paces on screen, I may have to retcon my Fingolfin, and I might just have to cast Daniel Craig.
Oh. Is he too old?
That's the problem. He might be too old.
He doesn't need to be too old, right? Because he's probably about the same age as Keanu Reeves.
And that's the thing, and well, I'd say they're brothers, but they might be thousands of years apart as brothers.
I don't think they really are.
It doesn't really matter anyway because they're elves.
And if they're thousands of years apart, they're thousands of years apart before the story starts. So they're both they're functionally the same age.
Yeah, and whereas I think Keanu Reeves can really wear the insanity on his sleeve, a la Feanor. I think Daniel Craig could do really well at being just completely regal.
Just slow burn, getting angrier and angrier and angrier.
And then all of a sudden be like, you know what, I've had it, Idris.
Yeah, I've had it, Idris. Also, yeah,
fuck yourself.
I want to watch a fight between Daniel Craig and Idris Elba.
It would be believable,
It
right?
would be so believable. They wouldn't need stunt doubles. That's good.
You would need stunt doubles, yeah. So I might actually officially retcon my
That's
Fingal
good.
to a Daniel Craig,
That is very good.
which just quietly leaves Lee Pace's Fingal, and then also just all of Feanor's sons. Because in my head, my creative vision for Feanor's sons is that you never really see them on screen long enough to be like,
Hold on.
that's that character.
Is
So
that
every time
also
they're on
Lee
screen, you're like,
Pace?
was that Lee Pace? Like all of Twitter would just be, aflame with being like, oh, is this actually Lee Pace? And all the freeze frames of Feanor's sons being like, that's Lee Pace.
That's Lee Pace standing next to Lee Pace.
Yeah.
What?
But I'd never confirm or
You just
deny
never
it.
release the cast list.
Which I think could really work.
I hate that so much. Anyway.
So Millie and Kate Blanchett with Lee Pace's Fingal, I think could work. And then obviously their daughter Luthien. This was a really tough one. I hated Jodie Comer as a suggestion.
Why? Seriously, why? I think it's a really good suggestion.
It looks all kinds of wrong. No, it just looks all kinds of wrong. Just no. I mean, what were you even thinking?
I think.
Are you high and drunk right now? I don't even know. So my Luthien probably again, arguably too old, given that I think the Luthien in the Silmarillion has got a very youthful vibe. But I just love this person, so it's got to be her. It's Kate Beckinsale.
Fuck off. That's awful. That's the worst thing that's ever come out of your mouth.
How? Kate Beckinsale is amazing.
You just watched Underworld last night, and that's all that this is.
No. The first Underworld, which is the only Underworld I've seen so far, is amazing.
Yeah.
For the record. But no, Kate Beckinsale, if you give her the Liv Tyler treatment, she could be a Luthien.
I just don't see it.
Wow.
I really don't see it. I think I genuinely think that's really bad. I'm not screwing around. I think that's really bad.
I equally agree that Jodie Comer is really bad. So we'll have to revisit this as a let's try to recast Luthien.
Let's go. All right, let's come back to Luthien because we neither of us has come up with anything that the other one likes. So let's just park it and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, and my Baron is again such a cheat.
Yeah, it really
who was yours again? Alexander Skarsgård, right?
Yeah,
I actually kind of love that. I must say that's a really good choice. Whereas for me, but my caveat to this, right, is that they're supposed to look alike.
I'm not having this, by the way.
They're supposed to look alike. Baron and Aragorn are supposed to look alike, and I just want Viggo Mortensen in my shoot, okay?
He's like 70 now, mate.
Yeah, but Baron
gets to die of old age.
Viggo like that.
Viggo
Mortensen is not 70.
No, he's not. He's not. He's not.
He's only 63. Fuck me, he's old. Viggo, if you're listening, I do love you very much. You'd make a great Baron.
I love him too. I'm sorry. I think that I get,
but just the idea of Aragorn's of Viggo Mortensen's Aragorn singing about Baron and Luthien when he was also Baron.
Yeah, no, I see that. That's nice. There's a poetic duality to that I can get behind.
But my ultimate problem was that
it's a massive cop out, mate.
I couldn't think of a modern day equivalent to Viggo. But Alexander Skarsgård is a really good shout.
He's a different type of actor. He's much bigger than Viggo Mortensen is. Like Viggo Mortensen's very tall, but Alexander Skarsgård is just a huge human being.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to permit you to have Viggo Mortensen as Baron. Go home, try again.
Okay, in that case, I'll swap him out for. I'll swap him out for the guy who plays that guy in Vikings.
Which guy?
Let me just look him up.
Travis Fimmel?
No, No, God no. Alexander Ludwig plays Bjorn.
Plays Beyond. That's good.
I'll take him as a Baron.
That's good. That's
And
a
actually,
good
now
Baron.
that I've remembered Vikings, I need to cast Catherine Winnick as just anyone.
Is that Lagatha?
Yeah. Oh, she could she be a Melian?
Ooh.
Look, if it's not clear by now, this is a shambles of an episode, and we will revisit this list and absolutely
Never.
perfect it.
Never.
Obviously.
That could be a very good. You
So
haven't
yeah,
finished your. We've been talking for like 50
I
minutes,
know
and
it's
you've not
this is
finished
so
yours.
good. It's just throwing up lots of alternatives. So yeah, so Baron was my number 8. It's not Vigo, but I'll cast Bjorn instead.
That's good.
My last two are Turin Taramba and Nien or Niniel, his sister wife situation.
Yeah, that's not
Because
nice.
I just think that that's such an integral part to his story that you have to kind of cast her. And for Turin, I've gone possibly a little vanilla and Henry Cavill.
Yeah, fine.
I mean, as you said, he's like a super awesome warrior, and he's also a little bit on the unhinged side, and I think Henry Cavill can really channel that very well.
He's floating around the space, right? If we were actually casting this, Henry Cavill would be hanging around the Amazon studios trying to catch our eye.
Hanging around is putting him. I think he would be barging down the door and be like,
He'd have
"If you don't
come.
cast me as one of your top 10 people, I'm leaving." And we'd be like, "Well, okay."
Didn't make the cut, mate. Bye. I think him as Turin is fine. That absolutely works. You can see him as that guy leading the armies against Morgoth.
Yeah, you totally could, right? Ultimately,
Yeah, it's
which I
fine.
mean, it's a very different vibe to Timothée Chalamet,
Yeah, it is.
but both probably could work.
Yeah,
I think we're making very different shows here. Ultimately,
that's the thing. I think we're making very different shows.
I think you've gone more heavily into Amazon's Rings of Power style.
You've gone Jackson. You've gone very
I've
Jackson.
gone very Jackson. Yeah, I've gone very Jackson,
which is fine. Just different creative visions.
and yeah. So my Nienora will be played by Elizabeth Olsen purely because I want to see her act with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, like it. That's fine. You weren't tempted to cast Aaron Taylor Johnson as Turin to bring back their Age of Ultron sibling partnership.
I was not.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Yeah, he can just never be on screen again, and I wouldn't care. You know.
Rude,
that's all I've got for you on that.
fair enough.
So list of 10. So actually, we overlap with a fair few of the main characters. Notable absences for me are Erendil. But I'll tell you why, right? I think for me, he's the person that leads us from the first into the second age. And I'm just not ready for that yet. This show is in its infancy. I don't want to be casting the man who ends it all.
That's fair.
But that's equally true of Turin, probably.
No, but I know. I think I see what you're saying. I think I see what you're saying. You've cast this. Well, other than Turin, you've cast up to essentially the theft of the first Silmaril.
Yeah.
Whereas I've sort of kind of done that, but also tried to cast and failed to cast Erendil, just because I think he's such an important character. And
He really is.
Turin, I see both of them as sort of, you get a season about them. All right, it might be season 3 or 4 or 7 or 8, but I don't think you can ignore them. But working out how to pace a show like this is so difficult. That was the thing that I really struggled with.
Yeah,
actually come up with how do you do this?
Because when I first sat down, I was like, well, the only people you could cast are the Ainur, but that's A, impossible unless you use AI, obviously, which would be flawless. And B, it's not very interesting.
I
But,
think
but I generally think my first season would be all elf, but I just ran into problems of not being able to cast elves at all.
I think I was trying to work this out. I think that your first season starts with the I'm going to get the unchaining of Melkor.
Yeah.
Right. So that's your end of episode 1, basically, is the decision by Manwë to unchain Melkor and give him the freedom of Valinor. And
I
then
mean,
you
man,
go.
let's just reflect on that. Manwë's an idiot, right?
Manwë's absolutely binned it off there. Why didn't he ask Mandos what was going to happen? Like, Mandos, is this a bad idea?
Something
Something,
Hero would have
something.
told Mandos that
Don't.
something
Yeah.
bad will happen. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I know. But that's really
or
not
or the
knowing.
more cynical answer is that Manwë knew this and still needed it to happen.
I think that is actually the answer, man. In order to end up with, in order to essentially end up with Erendil, you have to unchain Melkor,
Yeah.
and you sort of need Erendil because he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and this is perhaps a bigger discussion, right? But for the Valar, I mean, they know that the elves don't die anyway,
Yeah,
ultimately. And they know that man's gift is to die. So having everyone just have a massive punch up in Middle Earth
doesn't really
kind of
matter.
serves their purposes, right?
Yeah,
Everyone still wins. Because
yeah,
the men get to be remembered for their great deeds and their fleeting mortal lives, and the elves just get to chill with Mandos, really.
yeah. I'm still thinking about how to pace out this first season. I think so. I think you end the first episode with the unchaining of Melkor. You then have 2 or 3 episodes of essentially Valinor politics, and you have people for cameos for people like Ingwe and idiots like that who don't
Well, in
really
that case,
matter.
we need to cast Ian McDermott as Manwë.
Yeah, fair, done. Sold. But then, sort of your mid-season break, assuming that you've got a 10-episode series, is the forging of the Silmarils, and then you go from there to, or you maybe do that a little bit earlier, and then just after your mid-season is the death of Finwë, and then your season ends either with the kinslaying or the swearing of the oath. I'm not quite sure which, but that's how I pace out the first season.
Yeah, because not much happens between the Kingslaying and the Kinslaying, sorry, and Spring. I think your last episode is like a feature length special, right, where Feanor lands, does his crazy charge into the ranks of Morgoth,
Mm.
Kills many orcs, dies, and then you end the season with Feanor's son swearing the oath.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that.
Because you got who doesn't want to end with 7 Lee paces just in unison ringing out this oath.
No, I like that. I think that's good pacing.
To then open the next season with a Lee pace Thingol, and people will be like, "What the fuck?"
You probably open the second season with the crossing of the Helcarax, I think, and you sort of pivot.
Oh, right, you're saying that hasn't. Okay, so you're.
This is the thing, you can play with time a little bit because you show different things in different places.
But then a lot of the second season will be. Yeah, it'll be the founding of the various cities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
And
Actually.
the forming of the Leaguer of Angband or whatever they called it.
But then we very quickly have to start casting Sauron, and Designing the bloody cities.
Yeah, that's someone else's job.
True. We're just the casting
We're
directors,
just the
and we're
casting
clearly very
people.
good at it.
It's so difficult. Like, what this is really thinking about this. This is really. God, I can't speak. It's getting too late. As I've been thinking about this, what it has really hammered home for me is how smart Amazon were to pick the second age, because it's so much more linear.
One person's smart is another person's they didn't have the rights to literally anything else.
Well, yeah, obviously, but they could have asked for them. They could have said, we'd like to do a show of the first stage, and then negotiated for those rights, rather than negotiating for the rights to the second age as set out in the appendices, plus anything else you want on an ad hoc basis, which is what they've got for Ring of Power.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, ultimately, Amazon hire us.
Yeah, I mean, I think what this episode has shown more than anything else is that we really know what we're talking about when it comes to casting. We haven't just gone through what are the films that we've recently watched that we enjoyed.
Absolutely not. I have not, last film I watched was Bullet Train. I have not cast Brad Pitt or Sandra Bullock.
Well done. That was good. I haven't seen Dune recently, so that's not why I cast Timothée Chalamet. I also haven't cast Zendaya, although I probably should have done somewhere.
Or Tom Holland or Chris
Tom Holland
Hemsworth.
or Chris Hemsworth. I haven't cast any of them. I haven't cast
Chris
Benedict.
Hemsworth for Tolkast, come on. Let's just put that
Yeah,
out there right now.
Easy. Just playing Thor.
Exactly.
I haven't cast Benedict Cumberbatch, but that's mainly because he's just going to be gone.
That's because the last film he was in was fucking shit. I mean, I did cast Elizabeth Olsen because of it.
You did. You did.
Let me be, what's the word?
I have no idea where you're going with this.
Yeah. Not two-faced, but something along those lines. It's late, it's been a long day of casting.
This has been really difficult. I think I've said that a lot, but I want people to understand. We sat down to do this, and we thought this will be a laugh. It'll be a fun episode. We'll be able to chat about the first stage. All we've got to do is come up with a list of actors. It's so hard.
No, you're right. Seriously, because I was looking, because I remember we had some sort of conversations about this on Discord
6 months ago, as it turns out.
That's it. In fucking February, we were talking about this. So that's how long it's taken us to even attempt this, and we've still managed to balls it up. So you're welcome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We still don't have a Luthien. I think we should try and close out by casting the perfect Luthien.
So we're in between Jodie Comer and Kate Beckinsale.
We've got to find someone who straddles that line. Oh dear. I don't hate Anne Hathaway.
Although that was a Melian though.
That was a Melian suggestion.
Luthien. Well, okay. Clearly, my brain works in a very predictable way. But you remember the Les Mis film, right?
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway's in that.
Yeah.
So my shout for a Luthien might be Samantha Barks.
Sam Barks.
Eponine in the film.
No, I know who she is.
Because Luthien,
I went to school with a friend of mine. Just by the by, random.
Really?
Friend.
No
way.
That's sort of how I'm picturing Luthien.
Maybe it's not the worst idea in the world. She's not done very much since Les Mis, has she?
I mean, she's only been Elsa in, London's Frozen.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that.
Pretty big deal, I would say.
That is a pretty big deal. The other thought that I had, and this might be, it's way too late, and I've not had enough sleep. How about, you're going to hate this, by the way. You're going to really hate this. We cast Tandy Newton as Melian
Okay.
and Zendaya as Luthien.
No.
Tandy Newton
Sandy
is
Newton,
Melian.
yes. I'm actually with you on that. Kind of love it, even though she's not been in anything in ages, has she?
Isn't she doing Westworld?
Oh, fair enough.
I mean,
Zen,
she's in seasons 1 and 2 of Westworld, and I stopped watching it after that. But I think she's in Westworld.
Zendaya. People hate me for saying this, but she's just too young. I think she just doesn't.
She looks very young.
She just can't pull off a Luthien. I don't think, as much as I hate to say it.
No, mate. No, you're probably right.
We'll have to revisit this at some point, right? Once Amazon has given us our millions.
Yeah. Well, what we might need to find someone. Right. This might be another Erendil type. We go to a casting agency and say, "This is what we need. Who have you got that people haven't seen?"
Yeah, maybe.
Cop
I mean,
out
realistically, that's probably
politics.
what you have to do for most of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is we've both got way too many headliners,
Yeah.
right? If you you can't have Adam Driver, Eddie Redmayne, Oscar Isaac, and Nikolai Coster-Waldau all in your season 1 of an Amazon
Well,
show.
and Chalamet, Skarsgård, Jodie Comer. Yeah, your list is up there. This is why I've been economical by casting Lee Pace as literally every elf.
Yeah, I don't think individually I like pretty much all of my castings, but you can't have them all. It just doesn't work. No casting budget stretches that far, and also you'll have like, you won't be able to give everyone the screen time that they need to show how good they are.
Idris Elba alone will blow our budget.
But I reckon Idris Elba would do it for a laugh. Do you want to be a baddie?
No, I'm not giving you that. That's how I'm getting Keanu Reeves and Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill would do it for free.
He would pay to do this. Genuinely.
He probably would, to be fair. He'd be so keen.
Although, trust him to be like, "Oh, Henry, we want you to play Turin." He'd be like, "No, I refuse to play Turin. I want to be this guy."
Can I be Beleg Strongbow? Okay, but we're not certain he's a character, mate.
Like, well, then your show is shit. You have to cast Beleg, obviously.
I'm sure I will end up casting Beleg at some point, but yeah.
That could be a good Sean Bean.
What, Cavill is Beleg?
No, Cavill is Turin and Sean Bean is Beleg.
Sean Bean is Beleg. I liked my suggestion of Sean Bean as Bayor.
Yeah, but does anyone really care about Bayor?
No, but he could just be in one episode. Also, he is also just Boromir, right? So we can't have him either.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I wasn't allowed Viggo Mortensen as Baron, then yeah,
no,
you can't have Sean Bean as Baron.
You can't have Sean Bean as anyone.
Look, no. I just want the Lord of the Rings. Okay, that's just what I want.
Yeah, just give me more of that, please.
Absolutely. But we've probably bored people out. I mean, I doubt anyone's even listening at this point. Realistically,
no. But I would be really interested to hear individual people that we've named. Don't give me, this is who I'd cast as Manwë, because I don't care. To be blunt, but who have we just completely got wrong? That'd be really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Don't say
who's in the top 10 that shouldn't be, or who have we missed?
Yeah, which character from the first stage have we missed? That would also be interesting.
And whoever says the Eagles can go do one.
Idril? No, there this is Idril or Tuor or Hurin.
I mean, my suggestion, which you shot down very quickly, was Ingwe. I'd love a show just about Ingwe's life.
Yeah, that'd be quite
honestly.
good. I don't know who you cast as Ingwe. Just Charles Dance?
No.
No, he's too sinister.
I weirdly picture Ingwe as like this really youthful guy.
Could just be the guy they've got playing Gilgalad in the Rings of Power thing. Just get him.
Yeah, in the new one, yeah, maybe. Maybe a Chalamet. He could be a good Ingwe.
Ooh, that's rogue. That's very rogue. I don't hate it.
But it'd just be great, like just what does Ingwe get up to in Valinor, on a day-to-day basis?
I don't understand.
Thousands of years on end.
I don't understand. He's been High King of all the elves anywhere for 50,000 years. What does he do?
Do you think he even knows what happens in Middle Earth?
No, he's never left Valinor.
No, never.
He crosses with Orome or Rome.
Does he?
Yeah, from Middle Earth to Valinor, and then never.
Oh,
leaves.
right, yeah.
Just sits at Manway's right hand, going, "Yes, Manway, no, Manway, 3 bags full, Manway." I imagine. I don't
see. I don't think so. I think I don't think he particularly cares what Manway's doing.
I think he's just living the most lavish lifestyle in existence.
Yeah, pretty much. They just throw gigantic parties.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, this idea that the Vanyar are somehow like higher elves than anyone else, and they're just absolute hedonites.
But this is the thing, right? I really picture when Galadriel, Elrond, and Celeborn rock up at Valar and be like, "Oh, we have this tale to tell," Where was your help when we defeated the Dark Lord? And Ingwe just goes, "Oh, we were,
Ingwe's been getting fat for 50,000 years.
I just got over my 50,000 year hangover, I would kind of rate that.
Oh my god, Elrond, are you Arendale's son? Mate, that's your dad up there. And Elrond's just like, "Can I go back, please?"
Yeah, take me back. Please bring back the Dark Lord.
Right.
Anyway.
I think we're done. Thanks for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated. No doubt we've said some things that were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know. Rate the podcast and leave us a comment, or drop us an email at expertiseisoverrated@gmail.com. Tweet us at @zeroexpertise. Check out our website, expertiseisoverrated.podbean.com, or come join us on our Discord server.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes, and if you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Now, we will be back in 2 weeks' time, because we have wholly failed to plan what we're actually talking about in 2 weeks' time, I will just be taking, creative license and saying we'll probably talk about the Dresden Files in some way, because it's been a long time since we've talked Dresden, and I feel a lot of hype is building. So once we've decided what we're doing, we may not talk about Dresden Files at all. This is a very pro podcast after all.
Why are we so shit at this?
You will find out when we do what we're talking about in 2 weeks' time, but we will be back in 2 weeks' time, and join us then for more nonsense.